Right now we're vlogging on the Xiaomi Mi 11T Pro. And that's essentially the Redmi K40 Pro Plus edition. And I want to show you guys a new feature that we have on these Xiaomi devices. And that's if we start zooming in, we can now switch between the different cameras on the device. Here, let me show you exactly what I mean. So right now we're on the main camera and we can now zoom in. Now this device doesn't have a telescope camera or a telephoto lens, but we can zoom out and it will actually automatically switch to the ultra wide lens. Now that mode specifically is a feature that Samsung and a lot of other devices have had for a while. Now if I look a little bit different, it's because I am talking to you guys on the main camera lens of the device, and I'm using the HDR video. Now HDR video means that it's actually combining video frames. Now this is only available in 4K 30 and it's only available on the main camera. Now this is a software thing. Ciao ciao. Now this is something that only recently Xiaomi has been supporting. It's something that Samsung and a lot of other companies have been supporting for a while. It's a software feature of the Snapdragon 865 and Snapdragon 888. And actually, in order to do this HDR video, it's shooting at 4K 120, and it's combining all of the frames together to give you better dynamic range. Now the next thing is that we're doing 4K 60. I'm trying to go as smooth as possible for you guys. And on the past Xiaomi devices, the ones that featured the Snapdragon 865, we did not have EIS at 4K 60. We only had EIS at 4K 30. Let's take a panning shot for you guys. And this EIS at 60 frames a second, I actually think is pretty good. I think that the EIS now is definitely upgraded over the previous devices that featured the Snapdragon 865. Now actually the biggest bummer for me of the Mi 11T Pro so far, as we're getting the slightly lower light, is the fact that on the ultra wide camera it doesn't shoot 4K at all. No 4K with EIS, no 4K without EIS. This is not a setting. It's just capped at 1080p, and that's probably a limitation of the sensor being used, because the cameras of the Xiaomi Mi 11T Pro, which is a $500 phone, are the same cameras that are on the Redmi Note 10 Pro, which was a $250 mid-range device, which I thought was quite good, from last year. Now that we're back in the studio, I want to go ahead and touch on what my experience was like shooting video with it, review some of the video footage on my computer, and talk to you guys about whether or not you could use this device to possibly replace a GoPro, start a YouTube channel, or better leverage the awesome computational power that this device has. Now, my name is Mitchell. I'm fluent in tech, so you don't need to be, and I want to know if you're happy with the camera on your current smartphone down in the comment section. And after reviewing this device, it's really a mixed bag, because the image quality is not bad. The image quality, in fact, looks almost identical to that of the Redmi Note 10 Pro, because it's the same camera units. And actually, a lot of the issues and a lot of the sticking points I had with the Redmi Note 10 Pro's camera are alleviated with this device. I think that the image stabilization at 4K 60 is totally acceptable. The EIS does a good job when it has enough light. That said, the lack of OIS means that as things get to become a little bit darker, the video footage just kind of falls apart. The fact that this has HDR video as well is great. The problem is that we are limited to HDR only on the main sensor, whereas my almost year-and-a-half-old S20 FE has 4K 30 with HDR on 2 of the 3 cameras. And this device is the same price or more. That is definitely a letdown with the 4K HDR.
The other letdown is that we only have 4K on the main sensor, which in my opinion is just inexcusable. I really don't see the limitation or the reason why the ultrawide shouldn't have 4K, and that just bums me out. That said, we have the ability to go ahead and switch between cameras while shooting video. And that's the first Xiaomi phone that does that in my experience, or the first one that I have used that does that. And that's something that I believe was enabled on the Snapdragon 855, and I know it was for sure enabled on the 865 because, again, my S20 FE has it. And it's not a direct head-to-head comparison, although I did that, and if you guys want to see that video, go ahead and hit the subscribe button for that head-to-head comparison. But overall, for video quality on this, the audio zoom is cool, but we still can't plug in external headphones and switch between which mic we want to use, which is a bummer. We can monitor the microphones from a pair of headphones, but we can't choose to use a Bluetooth mic, WTF. We can't use an external mic with like audio controls, again, WTF. Like, I know that we can plug an external mic into the device, but we can't change any of those settings in the quote unquote pro mode, which in my opinion is a huge bummer. And ultimately, this device for video content creators, in my opinion, is a no-go. Not that you couldn't use it per se, but the lack of OIS is a glaring omission. The lack of 4K on the ultrawide is a glaring omission. In fact, I replaced my GoPro with my phone, and I did a video about that for you guys up here. And that is an example about how good phone hardware plus good phone software can actually save you money if you want to create content. In my opinion, that kind of relegates this device to being a gaming powerhouse, but it's not a gaming phone. And if you guys wanted a gaming powerhouse, well, you're gonna get really similar results with like the MediaTek powered K40 Pro Gaming Edition or the Poco F3 GT, along with like that big battery, the maglev triggers. So in my opinion, this makes this device a little bit odd because the camera performance on it for still photos during the daytime is good, but you could probably get really similar daytime photo performance with a Poco F3 and the IMX586, that 2-year-old mid-range sensor. The ultra-wide camera on here is good, but no 4K, so you're not going to be replacing a GoPro in any way, shape, or form. The fact that we can now switch between camera lenses when shooting video is big thumbs up. I think that's awesome. But the fact of the matter is that this is mid-range hardware on the camera front combined with a high-end SoC, but the software doesn't take advantage of it. And I would have loved to have been able to recommend this device to content creators because it's powerful enough to shoot and edit video in an app like Adobe Rush or KineMaster, but it's just not a complete package. I'm sorry, I'm not hating, these are facts. Peace.